How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a very long time. I have no script for it, absolutely not. I'm just talking 100% from the heart. When I first started this channel, my whole entire goal was to one day get monetized and to start making, you know, some money, from a hobby that I enjoyed doing. I've been making videos for a very long time. The first time that I ever made a YouTube video, I was in middle school, and I used to pretty much just talk about like Call of Duty and stuff like that. I remember one of the first videos that I've ever uploaded to YouTube got like 30,000 views, and I was able to start a clan on Call of Duty that, did fairly okay. It did okay. Did a couple of videos that went viral early on in Call of Duty Black Ops, and that was my first introduction into getting into YouTube. Um, as I got older, one of the things that I've always dreamt of was just one day, you know, hopefully getting to the point where I could do this full time, if not get to a point where I could, have a good return from investing my time into a hobby that I really enjoy. And I finally got to that point, in my mid 20s. In my mid 20s, I started just talking about MMA. Another passion that I have outside of just making YouTube videos, and MMA saved my life. It really did. Um, Before I started talking about like MMA videos, there was a point in my time or a point in my life where I was just making wrong decision after wrong decision, and I was gonna head towards a future that could get me killed or locked up without sharing too much. And I got into combat sports, and combat sports took a lot of my time. I trained a lot of Muay Thai, I trained a lot of kickboxing, and then I became a fan of the UFC. I became a fan of MMA, and that just became my passion. That just became, everything that I just wanted to talk about and to share about. So I pretty much, just try to combine two things that I really enjoy doing, and covering MMA. It made me realize a lot about the MMA community. I think that right now, especially with the way the community is, there is a lot of like regurgitation. There's too many people out there. There is just oversaturation. There is a lot of echo chamber stuff going on in the MMA community as well. Like too many of the same takes, nothing really original. And I think that if you go against the grain, if you try to be right instead of trying to be liked, it definitely does backfire a lot in MMA. And let's just be honest about a couple of things. At the end of the day, MMA fans, for the most part, just want to be entertained. Whenever I was coming into the MMA world and the MMA space, I tried to come from a point of education because, there's MMA content creators out there that have, trained with pros, and they've been coached by some of the best coaches in the world. I've been trained by Adrian Yanez. I've been coached by Barry Robinson, the guy that trained Dan Hooker. But at the end of the day, people just aren't into that. It's a very small niche of people out there that actually care about, getting informed and just getting a better understanding of combat sports. And it's really hard to have profound videos that actually get views and interactions because people are so deep into the sensationalism, and that's one of the main things that kind of drove me away from having passion about talking about the sport, is because there's just a crazy amount of sensationalism out there. Like, some people just don't care about positioning, decision making. They don't care about all the nitty gritty type stuff of the actual combat sport. Some people would rather talk about what, Khamzat Chimaev said about some fighters. Some people would rather talk about what Nick Diaz is doing, his addiction to meth and shit. Like, people just have different, points of conversations about shit that I just rather not fucking cover, and it hurts your channel, whenever you don't cover on stuff that's trending, because obviously it's trending and you could exploit, what's trending by getting views and getting directions to your channel. But at the end of the day, is that any of the shit that you actually want to talk about? I mean, let's just be real. In my opinion, or from my perspective, no. I don't want to really get into a lot of the sensationalism and I forced myself so much to the point where that's all my channel became. There was once upon a time where I did talk about, all the stuff that I actually did want to talk about in MMA and UFC and, combat sports, but those videos suffered so much. Like I just didn't get the interactions that I was looking for. I didn't get the comments that I was looking for. People were tuning out the freaking moment you go in depth about anything. And the sensationalism definitely 100% without a doubt made me get views. It made me get, the interactions that I wanted. It made me get the watch time that I was looking for. But the passion in me to talk about some of those things were nil. For the most part, I just didn't want to, and I just was 100% looking to just make content, talking about other stuff, but I was just so forced on, having to cater to people that just are 100% only focused on the sensationalism aspect of the sport. So the passion definitely suffered, the passion of me wanting to come home and make videos. It definitely did tank, the drive and the grind definitely did tank, and it just ultimately led me to a point where I'm just 100% burnt out on just talking about like the sensationalism aspect of the sport. Nowadays, the sport isn't even the same as it once was. The product of the UFC right now is so ass compared to what it was a couple of years ago when I actually was covering the sport and the sport was a little bit more exciting. The UFC actually gave a fuck a little bit more about the product. It seems like ever since they signed that TKO deal, the product of the UFC just has been going down so much. That's a different topic for a different, video. And obviously, one of the main things that drove me away about the whole MMA scene as well is just that there's so much saturation. There's just too many people out there that have too many opinions. uh a lot of those opinions come from people that have never even been to a sparring class. Like, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, people just want to be entertained. Some people are more entertaining than others. Even if you have better takes and you actually know what you're talking about, people don't care. I mean, people just want to be entertained at the end of the day. But that's one of the main reasons as to why I am making this video, because I am pretty much just announcing that I'm not gonna stop making videos, but I am definitely gonna be going into a route where I just talk about, or make videos about stuff that I actually want to cover on the channel, because I feel like I have nothing to lose. I have absolutely nothing right now with me making that decision, because I'm barely getting any views anyways, so fuck it. Might as well just go into, complete rebuild mode and just make videos, talking about stuff that I actually want to talk about, stuff that I'm actually interested in. When I first started making YouTube videos, it was about gaming. I always wanted to be a professional gamer. I always wanted to just get paid to play video games. And one of my main passions outside of making videos and of course, watching combat sports is playing video games. Specifically, into, some particular niches. I'm a very competitive type of person, so I like to compete against the best in the world. If I am going to be playing video games, I don't want to be playing against scrubs. So expect to see more of that. Started making Apex videos about 2 years ago, and then I completely transitioned into MMA. I think I'm gonna be going back to my roots, because why not? I actually like playing Apex. I like, putting time into that video game. So that's probably what I'm gonna be covering a lot more into this channel, trying to make content around it, and just overall just trying to have a better, time, actually sitting down, making videos, and absolutely, keeping my channel alive and keeping that dream alive that one day, hopefully, I can just do this full time. And that is pretty much it. That's everything that I pretty much wanted to talk about in this video. I didn't really have a script. I think that it pretty much just gets the message through, and hopefully that's enough. But if you guys want to go ahead and unsubscribe, for anybody out there that's watching this video, I 100% understand. But I am making this transition for the mental sake that if I don't do it now, then when? When? That's pretty much it. If you guys want to still support me, for the very few out there that actually watch my videos, I would definitely appreciate it. And I would definitely one day hopefully give back. That is the goal. That is the goal. But subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment. As always, it was a pleasure. Peace out and have a good one.